Hello, fellow planters. So, yesterday I went and sold at a teeny weeny vintage themed flea market, and it's basically on a grassy area at the end of the parking lot of a small shopping center in a very small town. So, there weren't a lot of people and it wasn't very big, and I first sold there back in March. They do it during the warmer seasons, the first Saturday of every month. And back in March, I was getting my feet wet, just seeing what people wanted. And I did bring a few plants. I brought some aloes that were like Firebird aloes, which I broke apart from the ones I bought, and I put the ones that had good roots in pots, and some sundews, which I propagated. Well, needless to say, I also got to meet a master gardener, and she gave me a hyacinth which was about to flower, and it flowered beautifully. Here's a photo of it. Anyway, I went back yesterday and I brought a lot more planty things than I did the first time. And as the weather warms up, hopefully I'll have more things to take next time. So I took a bunch of macrame, and the ones where I basically had like the matching pair, the one on the left that's round, a customer bought that and was so excited, and it was one who bought that 4-tier macrame hanger I made back in December, if you saw the video on it. If not, it's in my videos, and wanted more. And then I had two of the ones that were like long in shape or wide with two tassels, and I got to sell one of them. And I also sold the one where you had like the yellowy white cream colored pot. And there were some people inquiring. They had pots they wanted me to make macrame for. I had a sign listed with all this equipment for like an old camera that I have with lenses. I didn't have room in my station wagon to bring the camera, but at least I was able to put a sign, and it had my phone number, so people were able to take my phone number in case they ever wanted me to make any for them. I told, the people who were asking just to send me the photo along with like the dimensions of the pot so I know how to make the macrame. And the smaller ones that were designed to fit on the wall, people didn't really seem that interested in those. I thought there might be a lot more interest. But anyway, I was excited because I took 17 pieces and I sold 3 only, and I gave one away to my friend who invited me to the flea market initially, and we once again split an area, and basically it was a birthday gift. Also, my flower aquarium, which I made into a terrarium, and I recently cleaned up and prettied up, and it had just a single strawberry begonia in there. I priced it at $18. The flower aquarium cost me probably about 5 or 6, and the begonia about 3.5. And at the very end of the sale, when I was ready to leave, I was talking to the person that I met the previous month, who's also a master gardener, and she thought it was a really good price at 18, but I told her I'd be happy to get 12, and she decided to just buy it off me. So I was excited, even though I liked it and I wouldn't have minded keeping it. I was just happy that it found a new home for someone else to enjoy. And before I forget, here is my spread. As you can see, it's not a very large spread, and I had some antique coffee grinders. And I did get to sell one of the box grinders, and I sold a couple carcasses. And also, I did buy a 2-gallon crock pot, and it's still in my car. I didn't bother excavating it from the car yet, but here is one where I have my Ficus elastica growing in it. So those crock pots are really good for them. They had the 5-gallon one, of course, are bigger and more expensive, and I don't have space for them. But if the guy still has it next time, I might consider it, even though I don't have space for it. Now, as the weather gets warmer and my Sarracenia, they're starting to bloom, and I have a couple that are they've been at blooming size, and they have really large rhizomes that I have in pots. This one here is not one that's in those pots, but I'm hoping as they bloom by the beginning of May, I'll take those to sell, and I may take, if you notice, I had a bunch of plants. I took some rosemary, which I gave a couple away, gardenias, I had chocolate mint, spearmint, and a fig. So I'll probably take a bunch more from those. I have a lot of spearmint that I can just take cuttings and plant, and they'll look nice and lush versus just starting to come out. So hopefully they'll sell a little better because people didn't seem too interested in the herbs. After all, it's more of a vintage themed flea market. And I do have a coffee grinder that's a wall mounted unit. I need to figure out how to put a plant in the hopper and make it look pretty and without destroying the coffee grinder. And then I can basically keep the vintage theme along with the plants. And my Venus flytraps, I took 6. 2 of them were really tiny and needed to grow a little more, but the 4 that were well established, they sold really well. This is not one that I had for sale. This is one that I'm keeping. I don't know if it's a well-known variety. It was one I bought from Walmart. But I like the shade of red on the traps and the fact that the traps were red and the leaves were, the rest of the leaves were green. I call this the carrot top variety, but I don't know if it's a known cultivar. Usually big box stores put wild forms. I don't know if they plant them from seed. So you have a lot more variation. I know that Lowe's seems to have a lot of Denti variety lately, but I don't know if they vegetatively propagate or propagate from seed where the growers that supply to Lowe's. Anyway, I hope you found this informative and you got an idea. But, just one more thing. So I priced the Venus flytraps at $15. Since I don't seem to know of a nursery that has any in stock where they wholesale, there's one close to where I work, but they don't have any in stock or available until next year, and it's the beginning of 2021, first quarter, so that's futile. So I had to buy some from Lowe's, and they recently raised the price to $5.78 a piece. And you're talking about a couple bucks for the vases. But I told people that, I told them I got the vases from Michael's or the Dollar Tree because they had one variety at the Dollar Tree, and the ones from Lowe's, and I potted them this way, and I'm asking $15, but I'll take less. Some people accepted less. Some people were willing to and happy to pay me the $15. They were so happy that I literally had them planted in a way that they could keep them alive. They were like, wow. And also I took tags and put a little care instructions, telling them how they need bright light, no soil or fertilizer, and to just use distilled water. Well, you can use rainwater because these would be on a sunny windowsill. As the tannins leach from the sphagnum moss, it discolors the water as seen in this picture. And that helps hinder algae growth, but just to be safe, distilled water would be the better option than rainwater, which may have things that filtered out of the atmosphere and contamination or contaminants that fall in the container. So anyway, this was my second time at that flea market, and I'm not really someone who goes and frequents selling at flea markets, but I do have a lot of junk and antiques I want to get rid of. I've given a lot away, and it's just fun growing plants and doing planty things and just interacting with the customers. As I was telling people, well, I'm asking this, but I'm willing to take less, and they saw that I priced things fairly and was still taking less. They realized I was not there trying to make a profit. I was more there just for fun and enjoyment. And you still make a little profit, and they see that you're being honest with them. And that goes a long way with the customers when they can rely on you. So these are some good ideas that you can do if you want to start like a plant-based business and selling at flea markets. And I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative and enjoyed learning about my experience selling planty things at the flea market. Thanks for watching. Happy planting, happy growing, and happy selling.